Presidential awardee, ex-fighter pilot, alumni of Bracknell, a psychotherapist, a professor, a COO. Our guest, Ashwani Bhakoo, is an amalgamation of many professions. But in this book, he is only one thing. He is a Nana, a darling grandfather who wanted to gift his dear grandchildren a book that makes them hold family close and their values even closer. Nana, Nani, Dada, Dadi's Magic Pitara. Hello, and welcome to yet another episode from Zenjaura Publications, a place where we weave dreams into literature. Like always, I shall start with an excerpt from today's book. On the top floor of an apartment building lived Ashwani and Kavita, grandparents to the eldest Ayush, with his round glasses, curious eyes, and lovely questions. Antara, with her two ponytails, who loved listening to stories and dancing, and little Tamanna, always laughing, bringing sunshine wherever she goes. During the vacations, the three grandchildren were visiting their Nana and Nani. Their favorite place in the house was the big terrace full of potted plants, and right in the center stood their favorite thing, a swing on a stand. Sir, I welcome you to today's very special episode, and I request you to let us join you just for today on your Magic Pitara.
Thank you very much, Abhinandita. Thank you for this podcast. Uh, what do I say? How do I start?
Well, I was wondering, like we talked, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your book and how you came by it, because that's very interesting to me.
Yes. Okay. So you see, this thought process has been there at the back of my mind for quite some time. As I have been visiting my kids, my daughter stays in Singapore, and my two grandchildren are there with her. So while visiting them and also interacting with my third grandchild who's in Delhi, I realized that there is a need for us to interact with them and bring them up to date or introduce them to Indian culture, to our culture. This was there, but it really never surfaced into me writing the book. What happened was I am going to visit them shortly. And whilst trying to search for a present, every grandparent takes something for the children, when they go. So I was also looking for a present. My eldest grandson Ayush likes to build things, and he was looking for a robotic something and all that. So I was searching for them, and suddenly I decided, what do I do for Tamanna, who's just 3 years old? What do I give them which will stay with them for a longer period of time, which will truly introduce them to me, though they know me for the last so many years, and also introduce them to this thought which was there at the back of my mind about Indian culture. So I decided to write this book specifically for the three of them, for my three grandchildren. Initially, the thought was, okay, let me tell them a little bit about Indian culture, introduce them to it in the form of a story, because I've seen them read storybooks. They buy a lot of them. They got a little library full of them. But none of them was an Indian book. And that really surprised me. I tried to, get books from various Indian publishers, writers, but they didn't find it interesting. I don't know why they didn't find it interesting. Maybe the pictures, maybe whatever it is. So I decided to, write it, to pass on our heritage to them, to tell them about our culture, try and talk about our values to them, but without being a preachy grandfather. Nobody listens to lectures these days. So I didn't want to preach to them. But at the same time, I wanted to talk to them about what is the value system we have in the family or in our culture. So I thought, okay, maybe writing a story about it and bringing up these things as part of stories, maybe I can pass on these values to them. See, their parents are doing what they have to do. They are bringing them up in their way. They are teaching them a lot of things. So my daughters and my son-in-laws are doing what they're supposed to do. but my role was also to pass on these things to them. So I thought, okay, we'll talk about values. We'll talk about our heritage. We will also talk about, I thought, from generation to generation, possibly if I weave in the family into the whole story, the bonds will improve or become stronger between us, because we are storytelling. Now sometimes you do a storytelling before they go to sleep. Half the time they listen, half the time they go up to sleep, but it's not personal. It's some story you're telling. Now here is our life. So whatever I have tried to put into this book also is actually what has actually happened. It's not what I'm thinking should have happened and all. These things have happened. Being on the terrace is actually practically happened. Our terrace exactly like that. And then they come home, we really actually do what they are sitting on the terrace on that swing. They enjoy doing that. So I enjoy, being there with them, talking to them. And really speaking, I wanted to celebrate the family, the Indian family, our values, our culture, our heritage, and make this a sort of a lifelong present for them. Well, this is the main reason why I went about sitting down, writing for them, and then looking for somebody. And then Zura came in between, and that helped me in getting it published and beautifully illustrated so that I could put my thoughts in a nice manner to them. And that's where, that's how this whole thing came about.
That is absolutely so wonderful. And also, like we were talking yesterday, and I just realized how this book, that was supposed to be a personal trinket, has the potential to go out there and make a much larger impact in Indians who live in this diaspora where their kids are growing up abroad, or even kids who are growing up here but are exposed to just Western culture and not Indian animation or Indian cartoons or Indian stories. Not perhaps because they don't exist, but perhaps because they don't have that exposure, right? And this is an addition to such a larger picture. And when I was reading it, I was wishing, if I had this when I was a kid, and I did not have the privilege to grow up with my grandparents. So maybe this also somewhere gives you the image of a family which other Western books do not give you, which perhaps only exists in South Asia. So what would you like to say about that bigger picture that this book
Yes,
brings you?
you're right. When I started writing, initially you were right. Absolutely, it was just supposed to be a little present for them. And but as you got into this, the thought process has started, because when I go and visit them there, I see a lot of Indian families. Uh, their work takes them outside the country. Their careers take them there, and like you said, it's not necessarily outside the country. Today, uh, with both parents working, the time is always critical. There is always shortage of time. Today we have got nuclear families instead of joint families which used to exist. Now I'm not lamenting the fact that there are no joint families. The fact, because this is factual, because opportunities exist, people have to move outside the house. Now while they have to do that, they try their best. Parents try their best to give their child whatever is best possible. But there is a role for us, the grandparents, whether it's a Nana Nani or a Dada Dadi. We have a role, because society has a role in nourishing and nurturing children. And what role are we playing? Are we only sitting there and missing children, missing the grandchildren, or are we doing something about it? So when I started thinking about it, I thought about all the friends that my daughters had, about their families, about their children. What are they going to do? So I said, maybe I could expand this. And this is actually, especially when I got into in connection with Zenjaura, that's when I really realized, oh, actually, we could publish this as a book, not just, as, like you said, a present to them. We could publish it at a book, make it out, and give it to the wider audience. And therefore, it has to be related, though it is a story between me and my grandchildren. That's what it started about. But it's truly any Nana Nani speaking to their grandchildren, telling them stories, telling them about Indian values. I then thought maybe this is what will create this cultural bridge between them staying abroad, or only seeing all this English books, going to these private schools and things like that, and and introduce them to our culture once again. I thought, by telling them stories, can I create some identity markers, which is the value system? Can I create some identity markers? Can I put it there, out there in the universe, in the environment, for somebody to pick up? Now, when you leave it out there, my experience tells me that it will get picked up. And why I said identity markers, why I specifically said this. There's an interesting thing I want to tell you. I've been into social work for about 25 years, going out, meeting people, running various helplines, working with, street people. And once, while I was teaching as part of the curriculum of Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Mumbai, I met a gentleman, a young 32-year-old person. And he said, "Sir, I want to show you something." And he took me to a railway station in Mumbai. And I was wondering, what is he going to show me? Uh, he took me across the railway station. There was this massive road which we had to cross, and there were these big footpaths on each side. On one of the footpaths, there were about 200 people who were staying there. And they were in the process, or their job was to weave baskets from bamboo. So they were basket weavers. They used to weave them, stay there, live there, sell there. And he said, "So meet these people." Now, I said, "Okay." So we spread a bed sheet on the footpath and we sat down and I started interacting. And then those people told me a story about this gentleman. And they said, "We used to stay here. People used to drive along this road. Nobody stopped. We didn't exist. Nobody saw us. We had no identity. We've been here for 3 generations. We came to Bombay in search of a job. Yeah, we are living, but we live and die on this platform. Nobody saw us till this man saw us. He came and sat down with us. And when he sat down with us and, we were talking and we told them that we have no identity. He says, after listening to us, he went away. But 3 days later, he came back with a friend. They had a camera. And every light pole which was there opposite that railway station, they created an address. Mr. So-and-so, light pole number so-and-so, footpath opposite so-and-so railway station. They created an identity card for us. He is the man who gave us our first identity. So maybe this identity markers, why I said these identity markers, children need an identity. When they go away from home, whether in India or anywhere else, they need this identity. Yeah, they have a name, they have, religion attached to their name, but they need an identity. The cultural identity is as important as anything else. So I thought maybe this way, can I give them or help them in getting a cultural identity? I was not sure. I said, let me make an attempt. I don't know whether I will succeed or not, but I thought, let me give them, make an attempt to give them these values through talking about festivals, rituals, stories in a fun way rather than preaching. So when we talk about, in the larger sense, yes, I think we need to do it in the larger sense. And truly speaking, and that's where I really want to thank Zenjaura and them for going all the way out to be able to make this book happen in a very short period of time. The whole team put in a fantastic amount of effort, and it saw the light of day the way I wanted it. They a lot of iterations happened, but we finally got it through. So thank you to them. But I think yes, we need to go out in a bigger way rather than just creating a little book between me and my grandchildren. It did have to happen, and this is where it is. Possibly the identity of being kind as one of our values, paying respect or giving respect, family as our main connecting, you know family connects. It is our main place where we can feel safe. So having family about it, talking about and being grateful for what we have, because these are some of the values which our Indian heritage has: being kind to others, respecting others, being as part of a family. I know the world is changing. We can't compel. We cannot, just force families to stay together. But I think, heart of heart, India is still a place where we value our family connections very, very highly. So yes, possibly in this way, I will reach out to them. I don't know. Okay.
No, I think you definitely will, because I think half the work is done when you are courageous enough to put it out there, and you have done it. So yeah. And yeah, that part that you talked about is so important, the identity markers, right? And especially when all of us, even at my age, a lot of my colleagues, peers, we have to go out abroad to study, or we have to go out abroad for jobs. Our parents have to go abroad, and it doesn't essentially even have to be the West. But there is this feeling of being lost, which perhaps that is where literature comes in, and especially children's literature, because where do these children go when they don't have access to their nana nannies or dada dadis? You know, maybe they can pick up the book, they can read, they can visualize that terrace and that swing and how things work, and it will make them have faith. I'm not saying have faith in a particular religion, I'm not saying have faith in something, but have faith in rootedness and just towards life in general, all the values that Nana and Nani put forward in this book. Which makes me come to this point where you have beautifully blended fact and fiction. And I think identities are structured around both fact and fiction. Everything you read, all the stories you get to know from people, the fact of your own life, your own name, all of it. So, how do you think that works in your book, both fact and fiction?
See, both things have a very important place. Uh, Facts are required to be there because things have to be factual. Uh, we may talk about stories, we may talk about various things, but at the end of the day, there has to be factual matter in it. But when you blend facts and fiction, some of it may be fiction. The way we put it across may be fiction. The story is created around something. Maybe when I speak something about the light conditions on the terrace or something like that, maybe that is imagination. But at the same time, if you put across things, especially the facts, in a manner that it is a story without changing the facts per se. Don't change the value system that we have. Don't change the heritage. Just try, so that it can become attractive to them. But the fictional part is creating a story, creating maybe a trip somewhere. That's where the fiction only comes in. Now, the fiction, how it will help the fact is because possibly this will create an interest in the reader, especially the child. Oh, I want to try this. Okay, Nana has written about this, visit to the temple. We didn't do this visit to the temple with Nana, but why don't we go to the temple? Maybe they'll tell their parents, Dad, we need to go to the temple. Can we go to the temple? So that is where this fact fiction, the temple exists, the puja and the prasad exist, that are factual. That is part of our heritage. Whether we go to the temple, whether we go to the church, whether we go to the gurdwara, whether we go to the masjid, it doesn't matter where you go. It's something which is part of our heritage, part of our belief. But have we been there? Maybe in the busy schedule, somewhere it's got missed out. So, as facts and fictions, part of it, the fictional portion is to create some stories possible. But the fact is, I have not tampered with, the facts of our value system and our culture. That remains as factual. So that being factual, those little stories now, do all the stories that we have, do they have scientific proof? No, I really don't know, because I cannot prove that every story that we have, our grandparents have taught us, have got scientific proof. Did Hanuman really jump towards the sun? I really don't know. I can't say. It's there, part of some scripture. It is there in that. But that's how through word of mouth, all these stories have been spreading, or we have been listening to. So here I said, okay, let that latitude be there. Okay, he had the power to jump and go to the sun. Okay, I'm not questioning that. I'm letting it be. But there is where I bring the lesson that do not do something without thinking. I wanted to tell the children he had the strength. He didn't know he had the strength. He could jump. He jumped. He thought, this was, something which he could eat. So he jumped and went towards that. But then when he grew closer and closer, he started feeling the heat and he started regretting what he was doing. So the lesson I wanted to convey is think before you jump. Think about it. Don't jump. Think a little bit. Now, how do I convey this lesson? Is this a fictional story? I really don't know. It's mythological. It is somewhere there in the, can I prove it? No, I can't. So I have clubbed these. I have accepted this. And I have taken that forward in a manner to bring out this little lesson to say, think before you do something. Contemplate. You may have the power, you may have the energy, but soch ke karo. So, and for them, it is, kids, what will they do? They climb up on top of a table and they'll jump down. They will do something like that. So I wanted to tell them, be careful. Now, how many times will I say be careful? So just to avoid saying be careful, I sort of inducted the story into the book. Instead of saying, be careful every time, don't jump, this thing, So I said, okay, put this into the story form. And possibly they will say, oh, we need to think. Will this happen? Don't know. But I will make the attempt. So fact and fiction are there. They are intermingled, but I think that's the leeway every author should have. A little bit of it.
No, I mean, definitely. When you read Alice in Wonderland, it's not like you're actually going down a rabbit hole, but you are, right? So I think all fiction has fact in it. What it represents, right? And in this digital generation, when things like Amar Chitra Katha and all of these are fading away, perhaps we are in dire need of new generation texts like those, which can convey to the children things in a new form. Like the animation, if we see in the book, is quite modern, right? It's something children will be able to relate to instead of directly jumping into mythical stories. We are showing a set of family, we are showing a family setup, a terrace, Holi, Diwali, context they usually have generally, and then jumping onto the stories of why this happens so that all of this does not get lost. And coming to fact fiction and the larger context it represents, there is this particular chapter in the book which is one of my favorite chapters. And I told you even last day how when the children are playing Holi, the issue of consent comes up. And I think Nani says that you shouldn't put color on somebody without asking.
No, that was Nana saying that,
That was
because
Nana, right?
why I brought the Nana in there is, generally in our thought processes, Nanas are supposed to be a stricter person. the disciplinarian, where Nani is the cuddling person, the emotional person who will give a lot of leeway. So I brought in the Nana at that time. And frankly speaking, why I brought it in is because I actually did this. This actually really happened. Though it didn't happen exactly as per what the story goes, but I thought it was necessary that while we play, it's Holi is a festival of colors. We play with colors, and now what you realize is when the kids go down into the park and they play, they throw color on everybody, and sometimes somebody is going for work possibly, and here the kids want to enjoy Holi and they'll throw color. So this is where I wanted to tell them, you play Holi, but if you want to put color on anybody, do take permission, because there are boundaries. I didn't want to use the word boundaries. So very, in a very subtle manner, I brought it out to them. I said, do take permission, ask, can I put color on you? And if they say, okay, put it. And if they say, no, don't put color on me, don't put it. So I felt it was very necessary that while kids enjoy everything, while we give them all the leeway to live a lovely life and enjoy all games, all festivals and all that, it has to be within a particular parameter. And that parameter, as long as you are concerned, you should not be hurting anybody. You should not go into somebody else's private space, personal space. It has to remain within you. So I brought this up very specifically because I did talk to my elder son, my elder grandson, Ayush, about it, and especially Antra enjoys playing Holi, and she goes to everywhere, everybody, and she plays Holi with all the society kids and everything in Delhi. And that's when I thought it is necessary for them to know, that when somebody says no, please, it is no, and it is not something. I didn't know any other way to put it across, where rather than bringing in Nana and Nana saying, okay, don't do this. And, that is why I weaved the next two lines into it when, one of them asks the other, can I put color on you? And then the other said, yes. And they put color on that. It's, part of the story I brought. I thought, while we teach them about all our culture and heritage, I think it's important to teach them where the boundaries are, where what is something that we should not cross without permission, without taking each other's permission. That's also part of our role. Sometimes with the single child norms, two children norms now and all that, sometimes we pamper them, our kids, a little too much. Pamper them by all means, but make sure that they also stay within the boundaries. So that's why that chapter, that portion came in. And I think it is important for us to do that.
I think it's also very important in the sense that they're not only learning to respect other people's boundaries, they're also learning to create their own.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
They're learning to say, I can also say no.
Yes.
If somebody puts color on me, these things, a lot of kids, even us as kids, weren't taught that clearly that, oh, even if it's a ritual, even if you respect your culture, you have the potential to say no. You have the
Yes.
space. I think, yeah. All these values, I think it's really invaluable that this book puts across, and in a way that children will definitely listen, they'll definitely register.
I think so. I think children are very receptive. Yesterday also we were talking about it. We need to be the role models for our children. Uh, because as a psychotherapist, I can say this, first 6, 7 years of their growth, after birth, they are just recording everything. They're just taking in everything because reasoning and all develops at a much later stage. Now, the first thing that they will start doing is they will start copying. So they will start copying behavior. They will start copying your tone. They will start copying your words. And that's how they're learning. So we need to be the role models. Every time I cannot say, hey, so and so is the role model. You know, I, as a parent, I, as a grandparent, need to be the role model. I need to have the patience to listen. I need to be kind. I need to have empathy. That's only then they will be kind. They will have empathy. I need to be disciplined. I want to leave my room in a very bad state, but I expect them to clean their room and put all their toys away. It's not going to happen. So therefore, when we are doing this, when we are talking about boundaries, saying no, I need to be able to express this, show this. When we are talking about integrity, I need to show them that integrity. I need to show them that they can trust me. So, and that is by action. That is by playing the actual role. So kids, I have seen kids will really follow what you do. If even subconscious, if we do something which is breaking a law or something like that, kids will note that also. Yesterday, I was giving you, we were talking, and I was giving you this example of somebody driving on the wrong side of the road, and the kid sitting on the scooter or the bike or the car for that matter. And what are we trying to convey to them? It's okay to go drive on the wrong side of the road. It's okay to break the law. Now, next time when they grow up, when they get a bike of their own, if they get into an accident, actually, I taught them. I am at fault because this is exactly what I taught them. A friend's child met with an accident recently, and and it was a bad accident. Grown up child, 19, 20 years old, but because they did something like this. So when I talked to the parents, they said, we never thought about it. Many times parents do this inadvertently. They don't know. They don't. Sometimes we forget that our child is going to copy us, and children will copy us. So role models, we don't have to look at, Shivaji or Rani Jhansi or anybody as a role model. They are role models. They are great role models. But in our own way, for our family, we have to be role models in a small way. And that's the only way how we will be able to tell them that our culture is beautiful, our roots are strong, we can live a disciplined life, and we flourish. So possibly that is what takes us all there. And I tried to put all this into the Pitara, but let's see how it goes.
No, no, it's definitely all there in the very magical Pitara that you have created. And yeah, like you said, and often kids, they don't get these kinds of role models who teach them these root values of kindness and respect. They are taught values like, oh, you have to win, no, competition, and, oh, be a part of the rat race and all of that. And while all that is okay and, well, not okay, but it's a part of the world we live in, I think such literature has the potential to perhaps even make the child halt for a moment and reconsider, because children are very intelligent, even like we were talking about, they will question you. Right? Maybe when they read this book and they do not have role models, they will question the practices that are happening in front of them.
Sorry, let me give you a small, something which just came to my mind about this role model thing. About a year back, when I shifted to this place where I am staying now in Chandigarh, uh, because I've been into social work for some time, I was looking around and I found there's a lot of people who are around 70 plus and who are staying either alone, uh, even as couples, or alone because children have moved out for work or whatever it is. Some children may be within the country, but they had moved out. And there were about 50 or 60 such people. And they used to come for their walks in the morning, and but at the same time, there was no cultural clubs, really speaking, no place where they could meet, something like that. And when I interacted with a few of them, I found that the problem existed, which is loneliness. Now, what do I do about it? No, I've come to know I'm a psychotherapist. It is my role to make sure that people are happier. So I said, okay, I need to do something about it. Just feeling empathy about it is not good enough. So I need to do something. So I put up on the society group, I put up a message to say, I'm going to start a club where we're going to invite all these people for a cup of tea. I need volunteers. Uh, a beautiful thing happened. 20 people volunteered to join me. And then we went house to house, inviting all the 70, 60, 70 elders, we call them. And what were we inviting them for? Just a cup of tea in the evening, once a month. So we called them for those 2 hours. We interacted with them, had a cup of tea with them, spent some time, sang some songs, and that's all that we did. And when they started introducing themselves, one person got up and said, "Hey guys, I got all the time in the world," and he was one of the elders. So if somebody's feeling lonely, you want to play chess, you want to play cards, give me a call. I'll come to your house and play cards. If you want to have a cup of tea, come to my house. I make lovely tea. Now we started a connection. Over the last 1 year, I have been doing this, calling them. And I made a little video and I sent it to on the family group. You know how those people had come and, I was giving this little talk to them and meeting them, interacting with them. And the beautiful thing happened. Ayush replied back to me and said, Nanu, when I come to Derabasi, I'm going to look after old people. See, that's what role models become. I didn't want to do this to be a role model to Ayush, but it happened. He says, I want to, when I grow up also, I want to look after old people. He's a child of 6 years. But somewhere or the other, we can bring in these values into children just by doing things which are so positive. I just did it because I felt, the elders needed to get together. I never thought that it would, Ayush would come out with something like. He sent me a voice note, a video note. He sent, and it's so beautiful it was. I don't know. I took it to the elders in the next meeting and I showed it to them. So you see, what happened is this is possibly how when I say we have to be role models, pass on our culture. Now, what are we passing as part of our culture? Respecting elders there, being kind to others, taking care of others. All that is part of our value system. Considering everybody as family. That is the larger family that we have. I'm living in a society, it is my larger family. So that something is what got transmitted. It was inadvertent on my part, but it happened. And that is why I say, as role models, we could put these things out there. And grandparents have all the time to do it. Parents may not have it. We have the time to do it. It doesn't take anything else. It doesn't take much to do it.
Yeah,
We need.
and the child's environment essentially shapes the child. That's what we even talked about, right? Like you were saying, and you said so yourself. I was going to ask you, so do you think family can be a lot of people, not just people who share your surname? Is that something you also want to explore in your upcoming book series?
Yes, I don't think family is only the people who are blood relations. Family is not only the people who share your surname, like you said. A family can be created, and I can give you this example because I have a larger family. I'm fortunate to have a larger family. How did this happen? This larger family came about. It came about from all of us who volunteered to help. When we became volunteers to help people who were in distress, when we set up helplines, we became a larger family. We became a larger family when we were in the defense services, and now that we are retired, we call ourselves, brothers from other mothers, but we are brothers. I People who we have been together in training in school. I just know we had the 50th year celebration of my school in Chandigarh. Now, these people I hadn't met for 50 years. after I passed out of 10th class. When I went back there, everybody was professional in their own way. Over 50 years, they've lived their lives. When we went back, we were students again. We recreated a connection that has become a larger family again. Now we are asking each other, are you okay? Do you need any help? And somebody just puts a message on the group, I'm not okay. I'm in the hospital. I've, fallen down or something. Because at our age, something like this, all the funny things keep happening. So what do? We rush to see them. That's what families do. Stand up in support. In psychotherapy, I am telling you, when we talk about this, to many people, I have a firm belief that a family, especially your own family, will always, always be there to help. Yeah, there will be differences of opinion, there may be arguments, there may be fights, all that will be there. All that is part of human nature and it will happen. But still, the family is actually a very supportive structure. And the more bigger you create it, go outside your surname and you will find support. And we all need support. People say I am a self-made man and I did it myself. It's not possible. Innumerable number of people help us to reach where we are. We don't even realize how many people have helped us. So when they have helped us, they're part of the universe. They were not my same surname, so they were part of the universe. And when they were part of the universe, this is what has happened, and this will continue to happen. So, yes, family, yes, we must enlarge our concept of family. Think about people who are staying abroad or away from their homeland, or, from the place of birth or whatever we want to call them. They will become family. They will spend Diwali, Dasera, and Holi together. They have their different surnames. Their children will all grow up together. Why not? Why not? So yes, when we talk about family, we need to talk about a bigger family. We need to talk about, that is why now it is a nucleus family. That word need to be thrown into the dustbin. Create a different word now. Okay, when they say joint families, actually speaking, people with different surnames can become a joint family. Why can't they? Actually speaking, in a joint family, also we have people with different surnames. A daughter get married to somebody else, her surname changes. A son gets married to somebody. The girl brings in her own surname also now. Now we don't, we talk about, you have to change your name and you have to put the surname. It doesn't matter now. So now we have family with different surnames. So why can't we do it otherwise? So yes, put it out into the world. Hopefully things will happen. Be positive, and I firmly believe. And this is where you asked me this question yesterday. Let me bring that thing here. You asked me about Nani's role in all this. I feel the Nani's role is extremely important. And I say this because, while I was flying as a fighter pilot in the Air Force, uh, it fell upon my wife to take care of bringing up the children. I was there. I was not, it was not as if we had separated living and things like that. I was there, but I was more busy. So the way she imbibed all the culture, all the learnings into them, taking care of them. In every story of mine, you will find that Nana tells the story, but Nani is the one who cuddles the kids, who passes on the love. She is the one, she is the heart of the story. So while Nana may be telling the story, but Nani brings in all the love, all the warmth, to the whole thing. So Nani's role, or anybody's role, it's very, very important. There's a photograph, there's a thing in the place where we talk about blessings, and you there, Nani is blessing the children because Nani brings in the blessings. So Nani's role is extremely important because she will also tell you about strengthening the bonds. And let us not make these demarcations which people tend to make, that, today we don't have the time, today both people are working and all that. No, 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 no. Nani still play the same role. I have seen them. They still play, because, women per se are very loving. They can express their emotion in a very nice manner. Sometimes males have a difficulty in expressing emotions, whereas it is easier for women, to express that warmth and that emotion. So I'm seeing my daughters now, both are working, and I see them with their children. The fathers are very involved in bringing up the children, but that warmth, that thing, father se bhi aata hai, but mother se zyada. So I feel, Nani is this thing, creating the family bond in the festival. If you see, Nani brings in the thali, Nani puts in the tilak, Nani brings in the diya. Now, these are the things which, add to that story. Without that, that story is nothing. So Nani has a very, very important role, whether in this book or in our lives. uh, you know so it's a major role that they play into this, and that's possibly one day that is what is going to help us in understanding relationships. Nani becomes the emotional anchor for everybody. I've tried to put it in that manner, that she is the emotional anchor, for she's the one, who's giving more hugs and, more blessings and things like that. That's what really happens. So that's it. It's out there, and see how it goes.
Yeah, it's so important also because like you said, I asked you last day, because that Nani is my favorite character in the story. Okay, she's equally there as Nana, if not more in some places, right? And also, like you said, generationally, because of patriarchy and whatnot, men have had more difficulty processing emotions, expressing emotions. And perhaps all these archetypical figures like Nanis, that also Ayush is growing up with, by the way, this is how the cycle of not being able to process emotion ends. Because Ayush is growing up with somebody as healthy as Nani, who's giving him the space to express. And perhaps he will grow up and he will end the generational thing where, you know, and he will be equally warm to everybody.
True, absolutely, absolutely. Hopefully that will happen, and I am seeing this happening across the new generation, whatever generation we want to call them. I get very confused with all the Z's and the, A's and double A's and all that. But whatever generation you want to get, I think they are changing. I think they are evolving, and I personally feel that, we the evolution that we will see, the way they will come up, it may be very different way they perform puja, or a very different way they go to a mandir or whatever it is. But I think that is a very healthy system, as long as we continue to be them and supportive of them. If I want to drag them into the same type of things that I did at one stage, uh, then there will be resistance. Nothing can be forced. But you talk about it, you discuss about it openly, and then possibly what is going to happen is you will come to some understanding, and they will come to some understanding. And that's what my belief is. That's why even in our counseling and all, we believe in that. Some of the things that we are very clear in our counseling is, we accept everybody the way they are, and therefore why can't I accept my own family, my children, everybody in the way they are? Why do I have to want to change them? The way Ayush is growing, the way Antra is growing, the way Tamanna is growing, accept it. Now I need to teach them something. So how do I teach them? Preaching will not work. And that's how this whole thing will happen. So that's where it comes from. And somewhere, I think even when we talk about this, maybe somewhere child psychology will also come about it in this manner. Somewhere or the other, it will come.
But how do you think your knowledge, like your rigorous knowledge and practice and experience of being a psychotherapist, comes into children's literature?
Well, when we talk about psychology, it's the mental makeup of a person, and there are genes involved in it, and there is also the environment. So nature and nurture both play a very important role. In bringing up or a child. What I have understood about this is, every one of us, and I'm not only children, every one of us wants a place which is safe. Every one of us wants to know that we are loved, we are wanted. All of us, so every one of us wants to be seen, not ignored. Every one of us wants to be connected in some manner or the other. Now, this is exactly what a child wants. They want safe. Child psychology will, when we are talking about emotional safety, when we are talking about, they want to be safe, they want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want somebody there. Now, when I thought about this, how do I bring this? You asked me a question about this story being here and can we have a larger family? Do I really need to have Nana and Nani in case for some reason I don't have them? When I can adopt a Blippy from some movie on the screen as my role model and want to be a Blippy, why can't I adopt a Nana Nani from a book? Maybe I can adopt a Nana Nani from a book, and I can have my imaginary Nana Nani talking to me. Who knows? Because when we are talking about symbolic things, we talk about some symbols and we talk about role models. When you see a Nana Nani talking to them, this is a family. This is what love is. It is showing what love is about. So what does the child want? Yes, here is somebody who loves. Now he can see this in their own parents also. When they see this, when they read this, when the parents read this with them, what is it the parents are also getting? They are also getting, oh, okay, unfortunately, they don't have a Nana Nani, but why can't we play the same role? What are we giving? Giving them. They want to be seen. They want to be sit with us. They want to be heard. They want empathy. All right. So somewhere possibly the parent will adopt all this, and they will have a symbolic Nana Nani somewhere, and treat them, and they will talk about a Nana Nani in their stories because there was a Nana Nani at some stage. अनफॉर्चुनेटली वे अभी नहीं है, पर फिर उनकी बात शुरू होगी. फिर जब उनकी बात शुरू होती है, when we are talking about them, फिर जब वो बात शुरू होती है, फिर स्टोरीज आती, फिर उनके बारे में कल्चर आता है, वो क्या करते थे. Every child, every parent will talk about their parents, and then their stories will flow to their grandchildren automatically. So when we talk about child psychology, yes, it helps, but my personal thing is, see, emotional stability, a cultural identity of a child gets built up somewhere in between the ages of 3 to 12. So they need a cultural identity. Somewhere during this time, so I felt now that my grandchildren are 3 years, 5 years, and 7, 6.5, 7 years old, what cultural identity are we trying to? So this possibly, that is why this book is written for this age group, to try and give them a cultural identity. They can stay in the West, they can stay wherever, they can stay outside the home, it does not matter, as long as they can understand their own cultural identity. Then they are not confused, then they are not under pressure. There is no, then when you see, when you get a cultural identity, what will happen? Your self-esteem will go up. And when your self-esteem is going up, your pride in your culture, the pride in your nation will go up. Pride in yourself will go up because you have an identity. Like I explained that I know when I talked about the story about that guy in Bombay, that identity card created the difference. उनको एक personal identity मिला. And similarly, when you give them a cultural identity, this 3 to 13 is the age, 3 to 12, sorry, is the age where a cultural identity gets established. This is the time for, making them connected, giving them an identity. So by doing this, by talking about a Nana Nani fictional or actual, by talking about their culture, by talking about their value systems. So I'm dealing with child psychology here, but not, I'm not reading out a psychology book. I am talking about it in the form of a sort of a story. I'm talking about it.
Yeah,
So
which is exactly why we also talked about how it's a handbook for parents as well, right?
yeah, yeah. It does. See again, can I tell my daughters how to bring up their children? No, I can't. I can't. See, why? And I have a firm belief why I should not even do it. Why? When I brought them up with certain values in a certain manner, with what I thought was the best way to bring them up. I learned it from the environment, I learned it from what my parents did and how they brought us up. And I gave them certain values. Now, they will find a way, they will take something from what I did, they will take something from the environment, they understand the present environment, and they will form their own way. Now, if I start interfering in that, then they will not evolve. Then I should actually question my own upbringing of them, how I brought them up. Somewhere we get confused. A lot of fights take place between parents and children on this. I bring up my daughter to be independent. I want her to be independent. I want her to think independently. I want her to make life for herself. And then suddenly I want her to only listen to me. No, that's not going to happen. So then this is contradictory. You can't do it. Either you bring her up to be independent, or then say you will only do what I tell you. So this is something which they are evolving. So why should I interfere in the way my daughters or my son-in-laws are bringing up their children? Now I knew I couldn't do that, but I wanted to give them the value system and everything. So I wrote the book. This is another way of passing on what I thought I need to convey. So yes, psychology plays, but I also felt that symbolism comes in here. A diya possibly becomes a symbol of inner strength. If we were to go into that story of the diya and the storm and all that, it possibly becomes a symbol of strength. A tilak will represent something, maybe protection, maybe identity. Uh, so something like that, when we do all these small things, but we explain it to the children. They know what is Diwali, they will burst crackers, but do they really know what is puja? Why do we do the tilak? What is the meaning of the tilak? So while we are teaching them culture, we are also bringing them to a cultural identity while we are telling them these stories. So it shifts and brings it into that aspect. So hopefully that will happen.
Yeah, I think most importantly, it's also teaching them to question. Like when I was reading your book, I just thought, oh, I as a child, even I right now, since like why this or why that. And later on, the story goes on, uh, you know, to then answer the question. And he also said, contextually, children will, even if there is no Nana Nani, children will ask about their own, right? And a huge epidemic right now, along with loneliness, is unawareness. Children, yeah, aren't being taught the caste or class or whatever they're coming from, but when they ask, perhaps it's not getting registered as those complex things, but they are somewhere getting registered. And that is so important that your book is doing.
Yeah, I would like them to question, because when they question, they grow. Suppressing a question and saying, shut up and all, it doesn't help them to grow. It slows down growth. So yes, we need to give them the freedom. While we are teaching them about culture, we should be prepared to answer the questions. Many times we shy away from teaching all this or doing the rituals because we ourselves don't know the answer. So somewhere or the other, I'm trying to project here also that don't shy away from teaching culture to your children. Today, with the resources which are available to you, when you said about parenting, with the resources which are available to you, you can find the answer. You find it and talk to them about it. Today, it's not difficult to find the answers. So find the answers. But rather than saying, we are not going to do this, we don't do this. I will not do puja because what is the effect of why do I need to put a diya? I don't need to put a diya. When you say I don't need to put a diya, okay, understand why the diya was there. Why is it that there's a diya in the inner sanctum of a mandir? What does it represent? So because we don't have the time possibly, so we just shun away and shy away from all this. You
Hmm.
know, somewhere I would also like to think that this books, when we were talking about the larger context of it, this will become a sort of a psychological gift because it gets attached to your cultural identity, though in a very subtle manner, without being in your face and a book on psychology, but in a very subtle manner, it will possibly become a way to bring up parenting somewhere or the other, learning patience, all that will have. It will possibly become a guide and a sort of a guide for maybe for parents to some extent. They say, okay, we can do this. We can tell them these stories. We know the answers. Here are some of the answers, and some they will find on their own. So may happen in that manner.
And with that and all that talk about larger context, right? And I would like to tell our audience that this is not a singular book. I would be so privileged, so obliged to talk about all your next series and perhaps even the reception of this book in the future. And to conclude most of our conversations, I would like to read another excerpt from the book, which I think is wonderful, and it concludes everything we have talked about family, about values, about external family very well. So this is from the second chapter, I think. When someone laughed, everyone laughed. When someone cried, everyone paused. When someone needed help, someone's hand was always there. And isn't this the most important lesson that we try to teach our children, irrespective of where they are and who they are?
Absolutely.
So, would you like to say some concluding words?
No, but I just want to thank you and Zenjaura for having got this done, and for helping me put this out into the world. And I want to put this out into the world, and I hope it is received the way it is intended to be, without any sort of a bias on what is there in the book. It is just a storybook from a Nana Nani to their grandchildren. The underlying meanings and all, it's not part. But thank you very much, and thank you, Zenjaura, for everything that you've done.
I welcome you with all our hearts from Zenjaura. This was a wonderful session, one of the best so far, and I hope we meet again.
We will. Thank you.
Thank you.